this opportunity to discuss one of the nation's most effective anti-poverty programs, Social Security. I want to be clear. Social Security is earned. If the insurance people pay for every payday, it is the bedrock of retirement security guarantee for nearly all of seniors. As a result of that question, I want to go to Ms. Burdick. In your testimony, you highlight the story of a client who had difficult qualifying for Social Security disabled, which we unfortunately is common for many Americans. Can you speak to the barriers individuals face when trying to access for Social Security disability benefits and how Congress can help remove these benefits?
Thank you for the question. There are a number of barriers, and I think, one of them is while applying. A lot of people get their health insurance through the acquisition of these SSDI benefits. So just from the beginning, if like with my first example with a woman who was terminated before she applied, she has an additional barrier of not being able to access health insurance during the application process, which makes it harder to establish that you have the disability. But because of, chronic disinvestment, there has been customer service problems at SSA, which make it harder to access the agency. Some of the recommendations that we've had, which I know SSA is working on and I think will go farther with more funding, is making sure more of the applications are online, making sure things are more accessible, that there are people to call to get help. It is a very complicated system. And although some people get representatives, and in order to help them, there aren't enough. And I think making sure there are enough claims representatives to help people navigate, to understand the problems is really, really important. But finally, having this additional effort to make sure that DDSs get it right the first time by really taking extra steps to make sure they're getting treating source evidence will help everyone access their benefits more quickly, because treating doctors are the ones that really know.
In your comments that you just made, and what Mr. Higgins questioned Ms. Davis, and specifically about Congress, talking about our responsibility, not talking about Social Security, our responsibility. That's what I'm most interested in hearing you talk about, our responsibility.
Well, thank you for the clarification, and you're right. So one of the things that Congress can do is they can help rework the statute and the regs to make sure Social Security is focusing on treating source evidence. There was a rule that used to prioritize treating source evidence called the treating physician rule that was eliminated, and that should come back, because if everyone is focusing on the treating doctor, we will get to the right decision, or Social Security will get to the right decision earlier, which will really impact things. But the other thing that Congress can do is funding. Make sure not only it's one time, but sustained funding, so Social Security can do the work they need to do to make customer service better and make it easier to access these benefits.
Hello, friends. They are ready to take action. New House Speaker Mike Johnson has just unveiled his new plan to avoid a government shutdown. Republican lawmakers have already shown approval of this legislation, but there is a group of Democrats that plan on blocking it, as it could lead to major funding cuts. My dear friends, please make sure that you watch until the end of this video to hear about all of the details. Also, to say thank you for being part of this community. Every Friday, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter these weekly giveaway, friends, all you need to do is click and like several of my videos, and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you watch and then comment on, dearest friends, the greater your chances of winning these giveaways. And please make sure that you do stay tuned, because I'll be announcing the winners of today's giveaway. Newly elected Speaker Mike Johnson has pitched House Republicans on a short-term funding bill to prevent a government shutdown next month, while they hammer out a long-term solution. Even lawmakers who firmly oppose stopgap bills said, after he won the speakership, they are willing to give him the space to pursue his plan, explaining that they trust him. It is a sign that Representative Johnson will have a honeymoon period with a fractious and narrow House majority. GOP Representative Matt Gaetz indicated he is open to a bridge to prevent a government shutdown after Mike Johnson laid out his plan to Republicans to pass individual funding bills. It is a significant shift from a few weeks ago when Matt Gaetz triggered the motion to remove Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker after he passed a stopgap funding bill with Democratic support. Gaetz told NBC News, "I don't like governing by continuing resolution, but Kevin McCarthy wanted to govern by continuing resolution to get us to the next continuing resolution. I think Mike Johnson has a lot more credibility that a bridge would be a bridge to single subject spending bills." Republican Representative Tim Burkett, one of the 8 lawmakers who voted to remove Kevin McCarthy, made it clear he was not committing to supporting a continuing resolution, but he recognized that Johnson is in a jam with only 3 weeks to avoid a government shutdown. So in a letter to his colleagues, Johnson laid out an aggressive timeline to pass individual funding bills. He stated, if another stopgap measure is needed to extend government funding beyond the November 17th deadline, I would propose a measure that expires on January 15th or April 15th to ensure that the Senate cannot jam the House with a Christmas omnibus. But as long as they do not go against Mike Johnson for leaning on some Democratic votes to pass it, Congress will be in good shape to avert a shutdown on November 17th. Any full-year funding deal would require the approval of the Democratic-led Senate and President Biden. If the government runs on autopilot into next year, automatic cuts are set to take effect into April because of a provision in the recent debt limit law. Neal said those cuts would be very damaging and should be avoided by reaching a full-year funding deal. Republican Representative Byron Donalds said 3 weeks of GOP infighting without a House Speaker have led to a willingness to give Mike Johnson a soft landing as he pursues their conservative priorities. So, dear friends, what are your thoughts about all of this? Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen does not see a clear line tying the recent surge in long-term bond yields to the U.S. government's growing fiscal deficit. Yellen recently stated that the surge in longer-term bond yields in recent months is a reflection of a strong U.S. economy, not the jump in government borrowing driven by a widening fiscal deficit. Her comments followed the release of real gross domestic product data that showed that the American economy grew at a 4.9% annualized rate in the third quarter. That beat the roughly 2% seen in the prior 2 quarters and marked the fastest growth since 2021. In Janet Yellen's view, it is possible that the U.S. could post a growth rate of 2.5% for 2023, and that may cement the need for the Federal Reserve to keep monetary policy tight. She still maintains that the U.S. is on track for a soft landing. Meanwhile, year-over-year inflation came in at 3.7% in September, above the Fed's 2% target. On Friday, personal consumption expenditure data came in at 3.7%. That is the slowest annual rise since 2021. Jerome Powell and other central bankers have shared mixed signals on the path forward as they head into the next policy meeting on October 31st. Well, my magnificent and most marvelous friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. My dear friends, thank you so very much for being part of this community. The winners of today's Walmart gift card giveaway is Miriam Torres Santiago and Alyssa Ramos. Congratulations, my dearest friends! To claim your gift cards, please check your notifications page and send me a message. Or, dear friends, you could message me on my Facebook page. Thank you, friends, and have a wonderful and very blessed weekend.